What does Vinicius Jr. really want from Real Madrid? A new contract, the highest salary in the club, a promise for the future? But in a team evolving by the day, is he still untouchable? This is the story of a superstar, a big personality, and a club that's beginning to value structure over sentiment. So the question is, does Vinicius still deserve everything he's demanding? Since the post-Ronaldo era began, no player at Real Madrid has gone through a more intense emotional transformation than Vinicius Jr. His journey has become a test of trust between a man once cherished as a symbol and a team now chasing something even greater than individual brilliance. When Madrid paid 45 million euros for a 17-year-old Brazilian who had never kicked a ball in Europe, many saw it as reckless, maybe even desperate. And in the beginning, they weren't wrong. His first seasons were frustrating. Clumsy touches, poor chemistry with teammates, and moments when even senior midfielders hesitated to pass him the ball. They simply didn't trust him, but he never broke. Under Carlo Ancelotti, the transformation began. Then came the 2021-22 season, his true breakout. Vinicius exploded onto the world stage, scoring in the Champions League final against Liverpool and forming a deadly duo with Karim Benzema. By 2023 to 2024, he wasn't just part of the system, he was the system. A second Champions League title. FIFA, the best men's player, 2024, the Ballon d'Or, Silver Award. 9 goals and 7 assists in the Champions League knockouts alone. No defender could tame him. He was the storm. At just 25, Vinicius had already lived through an entire Real Madrid evolution, from the post-Ronaldo rebuild to the dawn of a new Galactico era. And through it all, he stood at the heart of it. But in Madrid, being a symbol is always temporary. No one is untouchable forever. The moment Kylian Mbappé set foot in the Bernabéu, the glow around Vinicius began to dim, partly for footballing reasons, partly because of image, marketing power, and the club's shifting strategy. Real Madrid is becoming more global, more polished, and less forgiving of free spirits who play with too much emotion and not enough discipline. At the 2025 FIFA Club World Cup, the contrast was painful. Up against PSG, Vinicius disappeared, completely overshadowed by Mbappé. Even 19-year-old Gonzalo Garcia outshined him, scoring 4 goals and delivering an assist. And just like that, Vinicius found himself back at square one, fighting for space, for impact, for identity. So when news broke that he was demanding a bigger paycheck, many saw it as tone-deaf. The timing was off, and for some it triggered memories of past stars who put ego above the badge. But if you've followed his story, really followed it, you'll know Vinicius's path has been anything but easy. He didn't walk into Madrid as a ready-made genius. He came in raw. He had to survive in the most demanding football environment on earth. And he did more than survive. He conquered it. Anyone who remembers the 2019 Vinicius, the one struggling just to control the ball, will understand how monumental it was for him to be named the best in 2024. No one questions Vinicius Jr.'s talent. No one doubts his contributions to Real Madrid over the past few seasons. But when a player demands 30 million euros net per year, you have to ask, is that even reasonable? After a phenomenal 2023-24 campaign, Vinicius already received a significant pay raise, now earning around 20.83 million euros after tax annually. That figure alone places him among the top earners at the club. But the latest demands from Vinicius and his new representation are on a completely different level. In fact, the number he's reportedly asking for is more than what Real Madrid are paying Kylian Mbappé. Let that sink in. This is the same club that once refused to break the wage structure, even for Cristiano Ronaldo, arguably the greatest player in its history. So, if Vinicius becomes the next to push for a deal that breaks the ceiling, it would mean asking Real Madrid to do something they weren't willing to do for their most iconic legend. Let's not forget, Jude Bellingham currently earns around 12 million euros net per year. Rodrygo, another key part of the tactical puzzle, hasn't even received a substantial wage bump yet. If Madrid give in to Vinicius now, how long before others start lining up to demand their piece of the pie? How do you tell Bellingham or Rodrygo that they're second tier financially even if their roles on the pitch are just as vital. That's why Florentino Perez is standing firm. According to trusted journalist Josep Pedrerol, speaking on El Chiringuito, Perez has made his position crystal clear. No one will surpass the Mbappé model. Translation: at Real Madrid, there's only one tip of the pyramid, both in power and in pay, and it's not Vinicius. Look at the bigger picture. Real Madrid's annual revenue sits around 800 million euros. If you allocate 50 to 60% of that to salaries, standard in top-level football, that gives the club about 400 to 480 million euros for players, coaches, staff, and operations combined. Now imagine one player, Vinicius, pulling in 30 million euros net, which amounts to over 57 million euros gross. That's more than 12% of the club's entire wage budget for one man. And once you open that door, others will follow. This isn't just about a pay raise. It's about the delicate ecosystem of a club that has learned, sometimes the hard way, that no player can be bigger than the institution, not even one as electric, as iconic, and as passionate as Vinicius Jr. Under Xabi Alonso, Real Madrid is no longer the same team. The Spanish giants are shifting toward a new era, one built on structure, discipline, and tactical precision. And in this tightly organized system, where does a free-spirited, instinct-driven Vinicius Jr. actually fit? Vinicius is the kind of player who plays football like electricity, flowing straight from the heart, not from the tactical board, not from a coach's spreadsheet, from somewhere deeper, more spontaneous, more emotional. That's why the Ancelotti era was his golden age. Between 2021 and 2024, Real Madrid gave its stars the freedom to breathe, to improvise, to dance between the lines. It was a system, but a flexible one. Benzema could roam, Modric could paint pictures, and Vinicius, he could just be Vinicius. But those days are gone. Benzema has moved on, Kroos has retired, and most importantly, Xabi Alonso has arrived. Xabi is not a fan of chaos. He's a coach who believes in the collective above the individual, in control over creativity, in system over spark. And at the 2025 FIFA Club World Cup, his football philosophy was on full display, one that demands sharp positioning, high work rate, and zero freelancing. To his credit, Vinicius has improved. He tracks back more, presses better, and makes more calculated decisions. But at his core, he's still not a system player. He's a natural left winger, fast, explosive, devastating in one-on-ones. But that's also where Kylian Mbappé thrives. And when Vini is pushed to the right flank or forced into central zones, his impact fades quickly. Just look at the 4-0 defeat to PSG at the Club World Cup. He was neutralized, out of position, out of rhythm, and outshined. Meanwhile, Rodrygo is becoming the coach's dream. He doesn't need his own wing. He adapts, defends, links up with midfielders, and plays wherever the system needs him. Quiet, effective, and tactically obedient, Rodrygo is winning hearts inside the dressing room and on the touchline. Across social media, fans are starting to take sides. Some have even gone as far as saying, Rodrygo is the future. Vinicius either adapts or leaves. And maybe they have a point. This is no longer about whether Vinicius is good enough to start. It's about whether he still fits the Real Madrid that Xabi Alonso is building for the next 5 years. Because this new Madrid is a machine. And in a machine, every player must know their role, their exact function in the bigger picture. There's no room for lone wolves, no space for artists who don't color within the lines. If Vinicius keeps playing like a gust of wind, he will always dazzle. But he might no longer belong in a club that's trading poetry for precision.